Life before birth and after death from Divinity book by Sri Vedhathri Maharushi. Page number 135. Today's topic is life after death. That is in page number 138. After death of one person, his soul, which is hanging in the universal mechanism, may pass to his child or get attached to the person whose imprints are allied to the imprints stocked in his soul. If that person gives birth a child, this child's genetic center is roughly 30 years younger. That means 30 years less experienced. This child also have the same kind of genetic center. As said earlier, the dead person's soul may get attached to anybody who have the same characters, imprints, or the soul may be passed to his own children's soul. So, it becomes imperative that one should need to keep the genetic center clean or at least refurbish it before death through good thoughts and good deeds. For example, let us take a couple. The imprints in them are genetic continuum from their parents. Good and bad imprints are there in them. 80% good and 20% bad. If they give birth to a child, their child may have 80% of good imprints and 20% of bad imprints from the beginning of his birth. The child, as it grows only with good imprints, as he was brought in ethical atmosphere, the child now become adult and have 85% good and 15% bad imprints. This adult get married. When he gives birth to the first child, whether it is male or female, the child will inherit as basic imprints in ratio of 85% good and 15% bad. After 2 or 3 years, these parents get another child. During those 2 years, they follow only good imprints because of their moral life. Now this second child has 86% good and 14% bad in his genetic center. His life continues till death. If he has not done anything wrong throughout his lifetime, with good behavior, he, at the time of his death, has genetic center of 90% good and 10% bad imprints. After death, his soul will float in universal mechanism with the genetic contents of 90% good and 10% bad imprints. When this soul finds the same characteristic features, that means 90% good and 10% bad imprints of another living person, the soul goes and merges with the genetic center of that person who is having 90% good and 10% bad imprints. Now, this person becomes better person with good imprints of the attached soul which has 90% good and 10% bad. So, the purpose of birth is to refurbish genetic center with 100% purity. To achieve this purity, it may take 140 years. Within 140 years, his life force goes 7 generations. That is 7 progenies. A generation is 20 years, 20 years and 20 years. Then it goes to 140 years in the 7th generation. Generation means only progenies. Whatever the same sinful imprint activated in any generation, from that day again 140 years it will take to purify. If the realization comes in one lifetime, that is enough for completely purifying all imprints, either they are good or bad. Then he will be free to gain perfection, that is becoming one with God. So that realization is the final goal for every human being in one lifetime only. Be blessed by the divine. Be blessed by the divine.